All right. A world with no gods, and the result was racially diverse utopia anyway. More apolitical xenoblade. Yes! So true! Don't worry, y'all. We will not be talking about politics when it comes to a political game. That just is a no-no, right? What the hell? Sorry, I'm crunching. What was that noise? Why was that bug so loud? Right, that bug was so rude. He was probably yelling at me for saying no politics in my Xenoblade. I have so many green quests to do. Some of them are pretty easy, but I just haven't done them. Like, I need to do this one, actually, because I only need, like, one more. Yeah, we actually discussed that yesterday, Faded. And it just, it honestly, we don't like Bose, but at the same time, there's a lot of characters who are extremely flawed. Extremely. And I think that it just shows that, like, we have Elma, who's perfect. She's literally the perfect human being. But humanity, even with them literally being on the brink of extinction, they are still fucking flawed. There are still issues, and they don't even realize, like, some of them don't even realize how flawed they actually are. They are just so worried about, like, not being extinct. It's okay, we can still be racist. It's just like, why did I get out of my mech? Oh, there it is. Okay. Here. Oh, no worries, Maury. Thank you. I appreciate that so much. Yeah, I want to using the Axel hug again, but I do want to change his heart to, like, just a recolor of, like, him with a little rainbow heart. I think that'd be really cute. Xenoblade and Gundam Evangelion somehow attracting the what are greater messages. I only see Mechs crowd. And that, like, that is so funny to me because I haven't seen Evangelion, but aren't there, like, huge messages in Evangelion about, like, humanity and religion and, like, other stuff? Most racist named characters in the game, though none of the others are party members. Oh my god. Yeah, I can't stand what's-her-face, the one that's, like, incredibly disgusting to Elle. The one that has a shop, and she's like, my husband's dead, or something like that. It's just like, you know what? Maybe your husband isn't dead. Maybe he just left you because you're terrible, and he ran away. Did you ever think about that?
Forte, but if you insist.
I know, I love cockpit mode. It's amazing.
You're staying right here. Nice. Move in and do some damage.
My forte, but if you insist.
Oh yeah, I went on a whole almost 2-hour rant about it, Shadow, but, like, not in the way that you think. Not in the way that you think.
You're staying right here.
It is so nice being able to fight in here because these things kicked my ass last time.
Take this! Upper hand! You're staying right here!
Can I give a short version? I don't know. Basically,
My forte, but if you insist.
I was pretty upset because of a lot of peers in the content creation space saying that they don't usually talk about politics, but they're going to talk about politics now because of how the tariffs are affecting the ability for them to buy a Nintendo Switch 2. So that is what we were discussing this morning. That people are more willing to discuss the state of the world when it affects them directly versus any other time when it's affecting human lives. So. Yippee! Wait, what am I killing now? Oh my god, no! Yeah, and that's something that I will never understand. That will never make sense to me because most of these gamers are playing games that are political. So it will never not make sense to me. Ever. Ever. It will never not click in my brain how that can be a thing. Is there to show the flaws of humanity, but I just know one writer at Monolith had a field day making fun of Western bigots defending himself with "but my imaginary Easter ideals," right, while writing these Affinity quests. Exactly. You saw it was created 8 years ago. It was. And like, and when I changed, because I haven't changed the emote yet, but I did change like the server icon for the Discord. And when I changed it, so many people who hadn't seen it before were just like, "Oh my god, it looks amazing." If Frosty's coming over, do you have a specific end time? Just wondering in case I gotta remind you if you want to switch over to South of Midnight. I'll probably play Xenoblade for like a couple of hours. I don't like talking about politics because people tend to be really not cordial when you're discussing volatile topics. See, that's the thing. I think that it depends on the situation, honestly, because I would definitely say I'm a volatile person when it comes to politics, especially when people are not willing to listen. So I left my... We discussed that earlier too, about how for me, talking about politics is very, very important to me because my existence is political. And when people are picking and choosing when it is important for them to talk about politics, especially when it comes to something like a fucking Switch 2, that pisses me off because it's like you don't want to talk about politics any other time except when it personally affects you and for a fucking video game console. So yeah, it's more complicated than people being volatile because I will absolutely be the most volatile person when it comes to politics, but that is because it is my identity. Like, it's not my identity. It is my existence is political. Where is... There's something to open here, but I guess it's at the bottom. I finished this quest, though. All right, we can do this one. I'm doing some green quests because I noticed some of the green quests have really, really great stories. So, walk over small enemies with Skell. Yes. Axel is always the right choice. Yes, indeed. I'm happy to bring him back. He was very much missed. This can't be good. Hi, Jesse. Welcome back. Actually, I think I was trying to do this quest before, and I ended up, like, not doing it because I think I got my ass kicked or something. I don't know. Ping Stink, enjoy your lurk.
This can't be good.
This can't be good.
Can't get a break.
Where do they all come from?
I don't know how to get over. You know, I think I need to be flying to get over there or something. Oh, Maury, thank you. Yeah, well, I wanted to, so I want to use him for Discord, as well. Like, I want to use him for the icon, but I also want to use him for our hug emote. But yeah, I didn't want to change him to the hug yet because I wanted to actually poke you to see if you could change the heart color. But yeah, I know you've been really busy and stuff too, so I was like, I'm gonna wait. At the console in barracks now? Yeah, I know that's some people have talked about that, about how it's much easier to gain affinity than in the OG. You know what? Maybe I won't do this one because I don't know. Oh, actually, I'll try over here. Do I need to be flying? Is that like the easier way to get over there? I don't? Oh. Actually, maybe I figured it out. I don't know. Yeah, I think I figured it out. Yeah, okay. Stay back, you stinking... Wait, is this the one that I was doing? Now I'm confused. I'm not about to end up being dinner for some damn saltat. Seriously, Howard, if you have time for this level of wailing, why don't you kill a few of the damned things and make yourself useful for once? It's suicide to take them all on alone, though I bet you'd like that for me, wouldn't you? And when did I become the useless one anyway? You're the genius who wrecked the helicopter. And those constant nagging caused the very fight that made me crash land here, huh? Oh, of all the immature, irresponsible. We're about 50 meters from death right now, but if it means I don't have to listen to you whine for another second, then I welcome it. Oh no, you don't get to give up that easily. Argues even in a crisis? Besides, if we keep shouting, we may just scare the saltat off. Or better yet, a friendly might hear and come help us. Some enemies hate skulls. I actually love that. It's like they know. They're like, we're not gonna fuck with that. Allergies have been kicking my ass. I just got home from a jog, and I couldn't stop sneezing. Yeah, I feel that. My allergies have been really bad too. Just like the weather change and whatnot. Why did I do it again? Well, actually, no, I don't need the skull for this. They're only 14. Y'all, I feel like I gave myself a headache from all of from the discussion this morning. Just, I mean, not like having the discussion, but because I was yelling. Every time I yell, I give myself a headache. I'm not good with yelling. Sometimes it has to be done, though. Sometimes you just have to yell into the void. You think you need a sweet treat? I think you should get a sweet treat, Aiden. Maybe some, you had some chocolate ice cream the other day, right? Maybe some ice cream? Or something else. I feel like you've been having some really good sweet treats lately, because I feel like the other day, didn't you have cake? Were people being bad here? No, I was talking about the Switch 2 and but the Switch 2 in a way that probably a lot of people didn't expect me to be talking about the Switch 2. Ooh, cake. You had a pastry you really Wait, you had a pastry you really disliked? Oh no, what was it? The enemy's going, I'll be peaceful except to you, Barbie stream back. You get a sinus headache? Oh no, I hate sinus headaches. Those are really bad, like really annoying. All right, Howard.
Nice.
Between the crash and the welcome party, I figured my number was up. But then you arrived. Nice to know we haven't been forsaken entirely. Tell them Roscoe asked you to help. Seriously? Wow, next thing you know, it'll be snowing in hell. Or, sorry, Roscoe's just infamously stingy. I never thought he'd shell out for help. But hey, I'm glad to be wrong, and even more glad he sent someone like you. That said, I'm afraid we're not out of the fire just yet. We need to repair the helicopter. Siska's shoddy piloting and maintenance work caused the crash, but I suppose pointing fingers isn't going to help anyone now. Anyway, I hate to lean on you for everything, but could you possibly procure 2 new Onidress radiators and a spherical EM motor? I need to stay here to guard the helicopter, and Siska's performing maintenance inside. We're basically pinned down. Accept. I appreciate it. I'm trying to work on, what is it? Shield Trooper? So, yeah, I guess wait, no, hold on. Shield Trooper, but like, I guess I can use a longsword, right? Because I already learned it. I don't know. I'm confused about how this works. But I am trying to work this one since I maxed out everything already. It was like sweet bread, but the taste was really off. Maybe just me being picky though. Oh, really? Huh. That's really unfortunate. I hate that. Like, I hate when you're looking forward to like food and then like you're just thinking about it and then you have it and you're like, wow, that was bad. And then everything's ruined. Not to be dramatic, but I get that way about food sometimes. I'm like, damn, I was really hoping this would be good and now it's awful. You the gal Howard mentioned, he said someone was bringing parts so we could get the heli up and running again. Okay, yeah, these are perfect. Should be all we need to patch the main rotor. But to be honest, I don't really know how to go about doing that. Like, do I connect the part to the red wire or is it the blue one? Frankly, I could care less as long as it flies. But Howard would have a conniption fit if I said that in front of him. We actually just had another fight before you showed up. Jerk ended up chasing me out of the heli. Anyway, maybe you should take charge of these repairs. If I touch it and the thing crashes again, I'll never hear the end of it. But he wouldn't dare say anything to you. Well, he might not be saying much to anyone if we crash, right? Haha, a little gallows humor there. Wait, what else was I supposed to...
Hey.
Mainer that needs fixing. I can't remember whether you hook up the... Am I supposed to do it? Which wire will you connect that? How am I supposed to know? Red. Looks like you've wrapped up the repairs. Slap a few random parts in and we're back in the air. Who knew it'd be that easy? Even the tail rotor's misbehaving. Thanks for the help. You're a helicopter repair expert and a damn sight tougher than Howard. Roscoe really outdid himself with you. Oh my god. Please, please. I have to get back to the city. Please, 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 please. I hope that I didn't just kill people. I'm scared. Wait, I'm supposed to go back, right? Hold on. I'm scared. Why are the electric wires so loud? Like the wire specifically, nothing else. Bzz, bzz, bzz. Use the new xenoblade icon of the skull and the pink. Yes, I actually did change. I changed my icon to the pink skull on the Switch last night, actually. When my sweet treat doesn't hit, I'm like, what was it all for? Exactly. Damn, brioche is usually like pretty good too. But yeah, sometimes you just get like I don't know, something just doesn't taste right and then it's ruined. Siska made it home safely. Ask Roscoe for your payment. Ask Roscoe about... Howard is dead? Siska piloted the helicopter safely back as far as New LA's West Gate, but the vehicle then... Siska managed to escape with her life, and Howard was less fortunate. We lost a good man, not to mention a helicopter and all its cargo. I killed somebody! Poor Siska is still in shock. I doubt she'll work on this team again. As for what's to come, I simply don't know. Pardon me, you still need to be paid. Why did they make me do it? I've increased the amount from the sum we agreed upon. What? If your schedule permits, I would ask that you speak to Siska. I fear I lack the words to rouse her from her malaise. But you perhaps may stand a better chance. Why would I stand a better chance? I literally... This was my fault. Maybe it wasn't us. You can load save. No, I'm gonna leave it as is. This is your choices can kill people tutorial side quest. He's still alive in my game, but I picked blue. Well, how was I supposed to know? I'm not a helicopter mechanic. I'm not Lynn. A lot of quests have consequences. What the fuck do you mean? Hope you like making some decisions over people's lives. First, the side quest with the water factory. Now these. Yeah. I was angry at Red Hat Fisherman. I didn't mean to. There was a tip in the hangar for what the crap. There was a tip in the hangar? See, did I do something in the water for the water purification plant? Because I didn't do that one on stream. But, yeah, like everyone in the water purification camp or plant died. And I'm like, did I do this? Am I the problem? You know what? Maybe we'll do let's do the main quest. Let's do the main quest for a little bit. I don't know. I'm feeling the main quest. Hi, Stella Gia. Welcome in. This game side quest fucked me over with some of the outcomes. Oh, no. You let her take a shower, so she monsterized? I don't even remember how I had a choice. Oh, Elma and Lynn. Okay. Wait. Okay, we take out Lao. If you push in map on NLA, it goes to that room. If you push in map... Oh, yeah, I usually do that. Hi, Kara. Oh, for what game gives you hope? I need to play Double Exposure as well. That's... Yeah, Life is Strange is a good one. One more reason to not take showers. Okay, let's take showers. I hope I'm present on stream when you meet my favorite girl. What? Favorite girl? Wait, I'm on chapter 8? I thought I was starting chapter 7. Okay.
What am I in the mood to make?
Let's do tandoori chicken.
Now that is a good idea.
Lindley, what is Lindley making?
Okay, Tatsu pacing is me with my anxiety. If I heard that, I would start fucking pacing. Start freaking out. What is going on? I haven't had L in my party in a while and I forgot he was wearing that. Oh boy.
Citizens of NLA, this is Secretary Nagi. Those of you that have served under me, here or on the White Whale, know I'm not one to mince words. So, I'll get right to the point. We are at war. Even now, the hostile alien force known as the Ganglia, marching on New Los Angeles. We know they possess Skell-class ground-based units, and we have reports of unidentified flying weaponry as well. Director General Shosan is attempting to open a dialogue. But our enemy has shown no signs of being open to negotiation. In light of all this, it is my duty to prepare us all for the worst. And this is why I've called an emergency assembly of all Blade divisions. To be clear, none of this changes our mission with regards to recovering the Lifehold. But in the short term, it is absolutely crucial that we protect our city. Not just for our fellow humans, but for the Manon and our other xenoform allies as well.
L.
New Los Angeles is home to us all, including our brothers and sisters yet to be awakened. In that spirit, the Manon have agreed to use their ship to ferry all non-combatants out of the combat zone.
I love them.
This is a temporary measure, but also a very good example of how we all, human and xenoform alike, must sacrifice and contribute to our common cause. For those of us who will fight, I promise you that once we prevail, any mimeosome damaged or destroyed will be fully restored. Troops, a trying battle awaits us, but we must repel the coming invasion, no matter what the cost. We're counting on you.
Manon saying every non-combatant bows. Is this wokeness? Fucking Bose.
You all heard what Nagi said. Ganglion forces are closing in on the city. I'd love it if Shosan could negotiate our way out of this, but we all know better.
Mm-hmm.
They've made their feelings about humans pretty clear.
Our team has been assigned the most crucial defensive position. The Administrative District Gate. If we lose Blade HQ, that's it. We've lost the war. We have to expect the Ganglion know this, and we'll hit it hard.
Yeah. No pressure there. Do we know where everyone else is stationed?
Irina's by the entrance to the Industrial District. Doug's on standby until we make visual contact with the enemy. And Lau's guarding the hangar.
Tatsu will manage supply lines. Use Nopon connections to keep key materials stocked.
Thanks, Tatsu. When this is all over, I'll bake you into a delicious meal.
Stop!
Tatsu heard you say into, Lindley.
And you, Rook. You ready?
Boast you could take them all on by yourself. No, we can't. Confide that you're actually a bit scared. Oh, I'm gonna say that, actually.
To be honest, me too.
You'd be a fool not to be scared.
So Elma is scared too?
Of course. Bravery isn't about never being afraid. Bravery is being afraid.
Damn, we were just talking about this.
Let's move out.
God, I love her. Elle's beach vacation canceled due to work. Everyone in your party has cat ears. Yes, yes, they are all cat girls. Elma said, time for my emotional speech moments. Elle wanted to go swimming and then gets jump scared. Yeah, the side quests give replayability, indeed. Elma Lynn 2028 2020-80? No. 2028. I love Elma. She really is the savior of humanity. We need an Elma today. Like in real life.
Bad time for rain.
This is Brigadier General Jack Phantom, Supreme Commander of the Defense Force of the Colony of New Los Angeles.
I'm sorry, Supreme what? Where are all these titles coming from?
He's trying to lay on some gravitas. He wants to sound like the leader of a huge organized army.
Yeah, but Brigadier General?
Brigadier General. Isn't that what I'm going to Full Metal Alchemist? Wasn't that what's his face? I like her in Xenoblade 2 DLC too. Oh, Elma. Lynn wasn't even born in 2028. Remark that the titles are already starting to grow on you. Yeah, Hughes. Oh. Joke that the title makes Van Ham sound like an old movie villain. I'm gonna approve.
I guess. Brigadier General. Maybe if he, like, waxed his mustache up a bit.
Oh my god.
Attention, Ganglia.
I forgot to get more weapons for my Scal again.
New LA's defense perimeter. You have 10 seconds to hold your advance and agree to negotiate. If you do not comply, we will have no choice but to interpret your actions as a declaration of war and launch our counterattack. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All units open fire!
I have a...
Started.
Oh.
All right, remember. Our job is to destroy any ganglion that so much as think about going through the gate here and infiltrating the city. Got it?
Roger.
Tatsu is Roger too.
Tatsu is Roger too.
Incoming.
Okay. Wait. Where's my Scal?
Engaging. Lay down some fire.
Okay, they're starting to get pretty close to my level now. I don't like that.
Nice. Move in and do some damage.
Hell yeah.
Iron prison. Right.
Upper hand. Sliding. Fire. Don't miss. Shadow strike.
I really should have got more weapons for my Scal, y'all. Crap. Also, can I not put anybody else in my party right now? Because there's only 3 of us. Like, I know I had to do it for the story, but I don't know if I can change now. They took Lau. Yeah, I had to take Lau out. You're locked to those 3? Okay, gotcha.
Use an aura. Get to take the battle. Sliding.
We did it.
Here's the next wave.
Yeah, so many, too many.
Hold your ground. We're the last line between them and human extinction. We can't let them pass.
Oh, great.
God, the stakes are so high with her saying that. I mean, like, I already knew that, but like her being like, we better do this or else we're gonna get extinct. And I'm like, okay, I'm locking in. The weird development in many cut content, they only made human-like characters playable, so all... Oh, but I would have loved Tatsu being playable and totally broken like Ricky. That would have been amazing. Hi, Shadow! Annoying Friday to you. It hasn't been a very happy Friday because I've just been... I've been crashing out today. It's a level 30 skull. I think so. Wait, no, I bought another one. So I don't know. Is it a level 30? I have no idea. 3 weapons in a dream. Exactly. We're doing okay. Overdrive! What determines you getting an extension on Overdrive? It's a random chance? Oh. Good to know. Oh my god. So I don't really get on Reddit, but Effigy was telling me yesterday because he gets on Reddit sometimes, and there was like a discussion on the Xenoblade subreddit, I guess about the best Xenoblade game, and he said that Xenoblade 2 was voted as the best but also the worst. And it's like, that is like actually the funniest thing to me. The best and the worst, kind of iconic.
Not so many bad aliens now.
Like, how does that happen?
It's working, Elma. The east gate is gonna hold.
Where are they all? Could this really be all they have?
Elma?
Sorry. Yeah, so far so good. Let's keep it up.
Right.
Oh dang, are we fighting more? Get you a game that does both. It's quick. You're guaranteed 20 extensions. I'm guaranteed 20 extensions, Krez? Holy moly. I think 1 and 3 have the highest highs, to be honest. I agree. I agree with you, actually. But I know it's biased too, but I do think 3 had the highest highs at all times. But I recognize that I am biased. Because that's my favorite.
You're staying right here.
Oh, shoot, I pressed the wrong button. My bad.
Too easy. Move in on the next.
Move in and do some damage.
I know. Take this.
Side slash.
Personally agree. Xenoblade 2 highs are insane, but it's also a bit too easy to make fun of too. 2 is my favorite game of all time, and I'm fully down. Honestly, I do really love that so many of people in the fandom are well aware, like they're self-aware, which I appreciate that. Like 2 is my favorite, but also 2 is the most flawed. I mean, like 2 isn't, by the way, just to specify, like I was just saying about the fandom, but 2 is not my favorite. 3 is my favorite.
All right.
Stand down, Lynn. We've cleared the area.
No further hostile signatures detected. All enemy craft in the combat arena has been destroyed.
Roger that.
We did it? We did it!
We did it! Suggest another wave might hit soon. Rejoice. Propose a grand celebration tonight. I'm gonna say
I
this
think
one.
you're right. That was way too few troops. They must be testing our defenses.
Ugly aliens got one look at Hero Pantatsu and surrendered.
Something tells me no.
Absolutely huge and it's airborne and coming in fast. The enemy are planning to attack LA from above.
I knew it. The ground attack was a feint. Everyone, we need
Oh
to get back to
boy.
the city.
We're fighting inside the city?
Oh.
No, Lynn, I know. We tried to avoid it, but now we have no choice. Better to risk
But
damaging
we-
the city than losing it altogether.
We were able to evacuate people, right? So there's that at least. What the fuck?
Tatsu panic! Everyone panic!
Let's move.
Roger.
Yeah, the OST is really good. I love Hiroyuki Sawano. Ooh, this is cool.
Missiles! Take
Of course it's Irina. I have a crush on Irina. Marcus?
Damn it. This is a direct hit.
The second we find that core, I'll bring you back first. I swear it.
Marcus!
They're inside the walls? Mobilize all internal security. Any and all fighters on standby.
Sorry.
Hey, that's us. Let's go help.
Lau looking to the side with his sunglasses. I can't
Wayne's
do
team
this.
can handle it.
I cannot have them
Meet
dressed
us
like
out
this.
there. Yes, sir.
Oh my god. So I don't know, maybe this can't be answered yet, but like the thing with the MIMs too, like if their MIMs are destroyed, well, I guess it's okay. Like they're not dead.
Are you telling me you losers can't even handle a bunch of humans?
Who is this?
Targon wants to join fight.
What?
This diva!
That. Although, I suppose if we don't mention now.
Oh my god, her nails?
Very
like, I should not be feeling this way about her, but I do. Hello, Miss Alien. It's fancy meeting you here. I know you're destroying you're trying to destroy humanity, but hello. What's up with the ganglions all being total divas, and then that one weird neck guy is the boss? Alien cat girl. Oh no. He was trying to destroy the missile. He was back to stasis. Oh wait, okay, so that's right. They're okay, I guess. They brought this one to the Switch. Me talking about how good this game was 10 years ago, but no one had a Wii U. Yeah, like I had it, but I wasn't invested at all when I first tried it. And that was definitely like a me problem because I didn't get invested into Xenoblade until I played the trilogy. The writing characters are pretty damn good. I hated it and then grew to love it over the course of a year. How'd they do it? That's so funny. You can extinguish me. I can't fix her, but yeah. Okay. Let's take them on.
Agreed. Let's give every ganglion we can find.
I just wanna fight Miss Ma'am.
Roger that.
Elma, we got a situation in the commercial district. Two really nasty SOBs. They're tearing through everything we throw at them. Secure your area and get over there ASAP.
Imagine not knowing what SOB stands for.
We're on it.
Like, why is he calling them sobs? Oh, crap! I didn't mean to fall in the water, but okay, that's fine. No, I didn't get skulls for my party. I did not know. I probably should have. Listen, I made a mistake and I fell in the water, Elma. I don't know how to get out. Can I get out this way? Oh dear. Can I? Special operations. I thought it meant son of a bitch. Does it not mean son of a bitch? Oh my god. How do I get out of the water? Oh, thank God. Right, I thought it was son of a bitch too. I didn't know that it was an actual. Oh, I have to go back to the barracks? I thought we were gonna fight. Hooray! I can buy everybody skulls. Did you mean to take off Lau's glasses? I probably should, yeah. Yeah, I can, thankfully I can do skull stuff here. This might be a little confusing. Question, is there a specific type of skull that I should be giving to specific party members, or does it not matter? It is son of a bitch? Oh, okay. I love how bother the Nopon with the markets and Manon with their ships helping the humans is so amazing. Like, making it clear we need them to survive. Exactly. It doesn't matter. Okay. Then I think I'm gonna get... It matters more later for, like, super hard fights. Okay, so I can just get whatever this time around. Is it gonna let me assign? Assign pilot. Who did I just oh, crap! Can I switch? I messed up. I messed up. You can switch. Okay, thank goodness. Because I fucked up. Save it for NPCs that get some defense and overdrive. As offense is not really utilized by... Oh, that's what I'm using for my character, the Layla. Okay. Now I need to get weapons. What did y'all say that I... Oops, scout weapons. What did y'all say that I was missing? I was missing like both arms, or because like I don't know if I can I tell? Actually, hold on. Is it the customization center where I... Oh, okay. How do I change? Elma uses a versus for some reason? Arm and spare? Okay. Oh, wait, it's down here. Sorry. Oh my god. Okay. Yes. Give me Caleb back. All right, I think everybody is registered for now. The ones that are in my party. And then we go here. Oops. And then I need spare. Damn, yeah, I didn't realize how quickly it was gonna drain my money. I guess that makes sense. Wait a minute. Is there... Okay, CR. So I have one right now on my sidearms. I don't like how the Inferno and Mastem handle. Oh. Definitely prefer the Layla. Yeah, I haven't tried the other ones yet. I've just been doing the Layla so far. So I'm confused because, like, I already have sidearm weapons. I seem to not have a back weapon, though. Right? Yeah. Jeez, that uses a lot. Arm and sidearm are different? Wait, was I looking at the wrong thing? Oh, okay, I see. I was looking at the wrong thing. Thank you, by the way. I don't think I want taunts. what does potential do again? Oh wait, can I? Oh, it doesn't tell me here. The drones are kind of neat. Cost 200 fuel though, and without focusing on boosting beam damage, I don't know how they. Potential scales is bad, is it? Interesting. Maybe I will do. Oh, okay. TP based arts. I got it. Maybe I'll do the boost to GP. Yeah. Okay, I think I'm good now, right? I think that I have all of my weapons now. I have no clue anymore. They rebalance so much, but it's like the original, not really worth investing in on a scale. A beefy R-back weapon? An R-back weapon. Well, I already have one. So is this one the one that I have not? Wait. Oh, Frosty just got here. Boost GP is good. Yeah, that's kind of what I figured. Some say it does nothing. Some say it boosts cockpit time. Some say it boosts super weapons. Yeah, I know people were saying, was it yesterday, that the cockpit time... Well, actually, no, I know people were saying that it was random to go in, but yeah, I don't know about how long you stay in. Yeah, I have... So I think I should be good now. I don't have anything for the other characters, though. Does it matter? Like, should I... I'm running out of money anyway. Maybe I should just, like... I should go with what I have. It does matter. Wait, I'll be right back, y'all. Hang on. So. Yes, hello. Oh, well, I guess here. Oh, you want to say hi? Okay. Yeah, I can move it too. Like. Oh, really? Well, there you go. That works. Welcome back, everybody. So we're gonna continue on. There might be like some spoilers. I'm doing like main story.
Oh.
Okay.
You act like I'm gonna remember when I'm there.
Well, yeah, and we are gonna play South of Midnight in a little bit too. Anyway. Scales to me are more about mobility. Oh, then like, wait, then combat? All right, let's get back to it. So, wait, did y'all say too that it was okay that I didn't outfit my entire party? Because, like, with scale armor, I mean, because I didn't give them anything. But, like, I should be fine. Oh, okay, they should be good out of the box. I don't know, I feel like I'm fighting pretty well in the skull, like, because those, what are they called? Those antler things? Like, I had a hard time with those when I was outside of my skull. Yeah, like, no, they were like these big, like, deer looking things. Yeah, I did get all of my weapons for my skull, so we'll try it. We'll see what happens. We will give it a go and see how it goes. Oh boy, it is chaos out here. No. Oh my god. I keep like driving the skull. I don't know if like all the skulls are like this, but when you're in the car mode, it is very slippery.
Have to be like this.
Attack at range. Follow my lead. Dodge this.
Not biracial needle.
Dodge this. Delivery.
We'll see what happens. What's going to happen if your team's gonna run a train on them? Oh my god.
Too easy. Move in on the next one. Delivery.
Okay, this is actually really cool. There's so many bags.
Take this.
What? Hi everyone, I'm here. Oh my god. Oh my god, did she say special delivery? That's so cute. The new spell they added in DE is really easy to drive in comparison. Which one's the new one? What? What? I love it because it reminds me of the guys from Xenoblade 2. Don't forget me. Don't forget me. This diva. Not the the butt cheek shot.
You're right to be afraid,
Yep.
little girl. Let's kill her first.
Lynn, stay calm. Don't let them into your head. We've faced worse than this before, and we've won every single time. Don't forget that.
I know.
Tell Lynn there's no way you'll lose. Get ready to grab Lynn's hand and run.
Yeah, you're right. It's much easier to be brave with you guys here. Sorry to worry you. I'll be fine. Now come on. Let's kick some ganglion butt. Now touching. The bossy one with the silver hair. She looks like she must be the leader. All right, doggone. I've changed my mind.
Ooh.
Kill her first.
Toxic Yuri. Oh, the new skills suck in combat. Oh, she's so... What's her name? Her name is Riz? Stop. There's no way her name is Riz. No 13-year-old should have to go through this. I agree. She's been through a lot. I thought someone said you witch, but I think it was you wish. Ooh. I got another, yeah, that was pretty quick. Riz wasn't a thing back in 2015. Maybe it was, and we didn't know it yet. Amazing. Dang, this song is really good. I don't think I've heard it for this long. Special delivery. Good for starting a strong party, def wins for style points. It's made of twigs and you go, oh, interesting, okay. Honestly, imagine getting your ass beat by a girly pop mecha. If I was one of these aliens, I would be crashing out.
They won't get a moment's rest. Guess what?
I'm sorry, Riz. It hurts. Okay, I shouldn't have beat her up. I feel bad now.
You primitive worms.
Girl.
Looks like you underestimated your enemy. You two are the only ones left.
And you expect me to kiss your hand and beg for my life?
I
I'd
could.
rather
I mean,
laugh
I would
my way to
approve.
the grave.
Keep your weapon raised, lower your weapon. Am I gonna... This is probably... Toxic Fury, that's what I said, Aiden. Maybe... What if I stand down? I'm gonna try it.
Right, that's the idea. We don't have to continue like this.
What are you waiting for? Lost your nerve?
You're more useful alive.
What?
Go back to your people, your masters. Tell them we want no further conflict. Tell them the humans are willing to negotiate. That we can find common ground and coexist here, peacefully.
Don't tell me you honestly think you've won here, do you?
Okay, who's her voice actor? Yeah, she does.
What was that explosion?
Colonel, this is bad. They got the alien scout. They smashed into the hangar and got the scout.
What? Oh, really? Who is she?
Eden Regal.
Who did she voice in Persona 5 and Three Houses?
Persona 5, she was Kafumi, Togo.
Oh, the chess. Wait, not chess.
The Shogi
Go.
girl.
Yeah.
And then Flesh?
Who is Flesh?
F-L-E-C-A.
Oh, the furries. Oh. Oh, amazing. That's where I recognize. Ooh. Did she just... What did she just do there? Right. Come on, Dragoon. You know what I really appreciate about these aliens? Like, they all got their titties out. Like, thank you. Wait, that's so cool! Are we supposed to be are we supposed to feel this way about the aliens, y'all? Because I feel like I'm betraying humanity. Yeah, Jedi doing that would be really cool.
And now, another city of innocence burns.
Oh. Now hold on.
All so they can lay claim to a single scalp. Was this truly necessary? I have become party to madness.
Okay, they don't really seem as bad as I was thinking. Like cats won't do. They're nice. Murderer side I want him. I want them, not just him. No, valid.
Your target was the mech all along.
Oh, you're so quick. I can see why they made you the
Why did she
leader.
say it like that?
And now the Vita is ours. So you see, you didn't win anything. You lost.
You sure about that?
Huh?
Your people managed to swipe that alien mech out from under us. I'll give you that. But our mission was to repel the invasion and defend New LA at all costs. Nothing more, nothing less. In that, we succeeded.
For now, maybe.
But you were sent here to take the city. And as far as I can tell, it's still standing. So I'd say you're the only loser here.
Oh, get her.
Now crawl home. Tell your ganglion leaders you were beaten, and deliver my message. Hurry up and go, before I change my mind.
Our people can't coexist peacefully. We can't coexist, period. It's us or you, you arrogant worm. No negotiation, no compromise, and no mercy!
Whatever. Whatever. Elma clocked her though. Like, damn. I know the actor, right? The voice acting was really good there. Like, I like all the voice acting, but man, that was,
Gwen!
I felt that.
Thank God you're both alright.
Yeah, we made it back, but Marcus wasn't so lucky.
What happened?
He took an enemy missile barrage.
What? He's gone?
Listen, Lieutenant. We're going to find that Lifehold core. And when we do, Marcus will be the first one back in a brand new state-of-the-art MIM. I promise.
Why do I have a feeling that, like, Marcus isn't going to get a new model? Suggest he gets the latest young and rugged model. Stop. Suggest he gets the latest hip and fashionable. Wait, this is, I don't like any, like, I don't want to lighten the mood. Like, it's sad. Okay, I guess I'll be optimistic.
Yes, yes. Just like Gwyn, only taller and slimmer, and with more muscles on his wings.
Katsu, what the fuck?
Handsome, too.
Thanks, guys. No, seriously. Thanks.
I like this idea. We'll find Marcus the handsomest, strongest, most un-Gwyn-like.
Hello? What? Why are we attacking Gwyn?
So, Colonel, we lost the alien scout.
Well, last I heard, we weren't even sure what it was. Doesn't seem like much of a loss to me.
If only it were that simple.
Ma'am?
The important thing is, we managed to repel the invasion force. We're still alive, and NLA's still standing. I'll take that as a victory.
Hell yeah. The Colonel's right. We did good here today. We won.
Yeah, you're right.
So hey, why don't we all go report back to HQ together?
Sure. Sounds good.
The music is so good.
Marina, you guys should go on ahead. I have an errand to run with my team first.
Roger that. Then we'll see you back at headquarters in a bit. Colonel.
Let's go check out the hangar.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I know that we were making jokes about Marcus getting another model, but like, I don't know why, but I'm just like not feeling like he's gonna get another model.
Stupid worms. I'll kill every last one of them. Every last one of them! I'll kill them with my own bare hands if I have to.
Jeez. Okay, like I need to know the lore. Cause why is she like bloodthirsty like that? Every last one. It's giving Shulk.
There's no excuse. This wouldn't have happened if I didn't order my men to leave their posts.
You were just trying to help. It's okay. We should count ourselves lucky we ended up with so few casualties.
Sorry to break up the love-in, but you know, there must be something to that skell if they were this worried about it.
I wonder.
The bigger question is how they
I
even knew we
forgot to
had it.
change Lao again.
How did they know exactly where we were keeping it?
I don't know.
No way.
We can really see the emotion in Lao's eyes, I think. Yeah, why? You know what? I have another theory.
One's divine vessel is mine.
Oh my god, this guy is so gross.
I beg you, O Great One, descend to this humble planet and guide me. I am yours to command.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I'm feeling like I don't know if it was talked about in the beginning of the game, like when we got all like the lore drop about what happened to Earth, but like I wonder if we were the ones that actually initiated all of this, and like we did something to like all of these different alien races, specifically like the ganglion. Like I wonder, I don't know, like I feel like there's definitely something there. Like what's her Riz, like she just seems like, it just reminds me so much of Shulk when he lost Fiora, and it's just like he had all this emotion, right? And like it was, a lot of it was very valid, but like didn't realize that he was like talking about genocide, like literally killing all of the Mechon. It's like without even thinking about like not all Mechon are like that. So why is it pulsating like that? I don't know. I hate it. Why did we, what? Oh, a hollow figure. Okay. I was very confused about that. I was like, why are we obtaining Riz? Wait. Oh my god. No. No. Okay, there we go. I'm going through it. Also, yeah, no one confirm or deny my theories and things. I'm just talking to myself. My complete fabulous fault. All right, so we saved. I think we might. Oh my god, look at everybody and their scales. This is so cute. I didn't get to see everybody together like this. I mean, besides us fighting, but man, this looks really cool. Maybe I should make all of them pink too. Like we can just be like a girly pop squad. Right? Okay, I think we're gonna like stop Xenoblade for right now. I think this is a good place to stop because we literally just finished on a chapter. And then we will continue more Xenoblade. What is today? Today's Friday. Tuesday. From the sound of it, you really wanted to obtain... I did really want to obtain Riz. You're right. I did really want to obtain Riz. We're gonna actually do a little bit of I'm not leaving yet. I'm gonna do a little bit of South of Midnight. So yeah, and then we will be good for the day. But I do want to play a little bit more of South of Midnight today. So I'm like I don't know why, like some of my hair is like I'm shedding a little bit and I'm just like collecting hair on my desk. Okay. Lau's fashion runway outfit, yes. All right,